Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now this is a, how can I introduce this video seriously when looking at this thing? Someone out there, maybe one of you watching, has taken an ordinary Fractal Design fan and turned it into this cardboard catastrophe. According to the local listing description, 3 of the 7 fan blades had snapped, so as a last minute fix, the previous owner, aka the person I bought this from, decided to have a bit of a laugh and make a new one out of an old Amazon shipping box. They've turned their Fractal Design fan into a Noctua one. This is what this case fan would have looked like originally. To ensure that the hard work exhibited here doesn't go to waste, I thought we may as well test out this crafted creation. After all, I paid a whopping grand sum of £0 and 0 pence for it. They should have paid me to take it, to be honest. To do this, I decided to hook it up to a desktop CPU heatsink to get a better and more accurate idea of how, or should I say if, this works. Unlike the factory fan, the fan blades aren't curved or shaped in any way. In fact, the cardboard part is just stuck to what's left of the plastic and the motor using what I'm assuming is PVA or super glue. We need some context for the following tests, so up first I ran a couple of different scenarios with the regular from factory fan. I didn't want to sacrifice my Core i3, not first of all anyway, so I used the Pentium G7400. At idle, this CPU runs at 27 degrees, and when under load, thanks to a Cinebench R20 multi-thread run, it hits 49 degrees at its peak. Respectable temperatures. The fan is also extremely quiet. I then tested Cyberpunk 2077 by running the benchmark test. This is a game whereby the G7400 will hit 100% usage a lot of the time, and so the processor is under constant duress. Here the Pentium hit 48 degrees at its peak, 1 degree Celsius less than in Cinebench. Switching to the homemade cardboard fan, and this footage was taken during the first boot up test. With the fire brigade on standby, I pushed the power button and sorry, I just cannot watch this back without laughing. I'm commenting over the footage as it plays, and oh my goodness, look how wobbly it is. It's been glued off centre. It just looks awful. But it doesn't sound that loud, not at the moment. It seems to be a bit heavier, all in all, than the plastic fans, because the surround is shaking like an overfilled washing machine. Surprisingly, the CPU sits at the same idle temp, but this is a low power processor and the heatsink itself is massive. I think that's why the temperature is identical. That said, the Cinebench R20 render temps also gave us identical temps to before, with the normal fan as well. The CPU ramped up to full load, but this time there was a slight difference with the noise levels. Jumping into Cyberpunk again, and the benchmark run produces the same peak temperature. For anyone wondering, performance is pretty much identical too, perhaps with some minor discrepancies with the percentile lows, mainly due to the 2 physical CPU cores. There's no throttling due to extremely toasty temperatures, so there's no noticeable FPS difference. As a side note, I've reviewed the Pentium before and found that while it's great for a Pentium, it doesn't make too much sense to buy if it's priced closely to the i3-12100F where you live. As I said before, the temperatures are probably similar because this is a lower end part, but when I switched to the i3-12300, which naturally consumes a little more power, then the differences are a bit more noticeable. This time I reran the Cinebench R20 test, and that's all I had to really do to get a clear picture. First we have the regular fan results, whereby the i3 idled at 30 degrees and peaked at 57 under full load. Again, not bad, and the experience was a very quiet one. Switching to the cardboard fan, and again the immediately obvious difference under load was with the sound levels. It sounds like an angry pit bull sitting on top of a nest of angry wasps, on top of an overfilled washing machine. The idle temp for the CPU this time around was 3 degrees higher, but under load, the cardboard DIY fan meant that the processor hit 67 degrees, which is a whole 10 degrees warmer than previously. I'm sure the differences would be even larger with an even more power hungry and warmer CPU. A smaller CPU heatsink might also change things as well. All in all then, you can use a cardboard fan to cool a lower end, lower power processor, and it might do just as good of a job as the real deal. It's not a brilliant idea, but if you break a fan blade or 3 and are short on cash for a while, well, it's not the worst idea in the world. It's quite close, but not terrible. That's all there is to this one then. I didn't think this was a video I'd be making today, but here we are. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a dislike if you didn't. Let me know what you think of this thing. I already know what you're going to say in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.